You are listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with a global soul. Our theme music is a clip of Summer Nights by the Eric Jones Trio. It's provided by our friend Mark Chesanout, who plays with the Eric Jones Trio every Thursday and Sunday at Good Times Jazz Bar downtown.
Hey everyone, welcome to Arts on the Air. This is Tamara Garvey, and I have the pleasure of being with artist Axelle Kieffer. Welcome, Axelle.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. And I'll start out just to tell people where you are in your show process right now. Right now you have a really big solo show up at Sulphur Studio. This episode is going to air on Wednesday, October 18, and your show runs through Saturday, October 21st. So people can listen to this and then they can run and see your show in the last few days. Yeah, you have a big collage show called Paper Cuts, which we will definitely talk about. Okay, so just to start out, I'll read a little bit of your bio from your website. Making traditional handmade collages is weirdly to me close to our modern science, close to laboratory genetic manipulation. I scalp and paste together anatomic pieces to create exquisite corpses, which I love. And that phrase, exquisite corpses, is like a well-known method in surrealist collage. Is that right?
Yes, it started in Dada movement, and the surrealists really blow the process, like make it very well-known.
Yeah. What can you describe? What is the exquisite corpse? That whole process, what is that?
So the exquisite corpse is a collaboration process. So an artist starts to draw a collage, a part of the paper, and usually we hide it. And you pass to another artist that try to add another piece of the drawing and collage and pass to the third. It can go through several artists.
Okay.
And at the end, you open up all the folding pieces and you have a whole new pieces that is sometimes totally crazy.
That is cool. You know, I didn't realize that part of it was hiding the parts that you had done so far. I had no idea that was part of it. That's amazing. Yeah.
This is the traditional way.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of start with your background. You were born and raised in France, right?
Mm-hmm.
What town are you from?
Oh, I'm from a tiny village.
Okay.
Like 600 inhabitants.
Wow.
On the border with Germany.
Okay.
And then when I had 18 years old, I moved to the big city, to Strasbourg, where I spent all my adulthood before I moved to Savannah.
Okay.
So I spent 35 years in France.
Wow. So you basically lived in 3 places your whole life?
More than this.
Okay.
In France, I did move a bit around, but yeah.
And so the small town that you came from, what was your childhood? Were you sort of just running around in nature a lot?
Exactly. I was building bridges, wood cabins, running after the cows.
Oh, did your family have a farm?
No, but there was several farms in a little village, and so we're surrounded by nature and forest a lot. Amazing. And rolling hills, and all my childhood I tried to get away from there. Okay. And now I'm away from there. When I go back there, I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. But you really appreciate that as an adult.
Yes.
And I'd read somewhere in one of your bios that your grandpa painted, and you would kind of accompany him, and was he oil painting? You said something about the smell of turpentine, right?
Yeah, he was an old painter, and it was my grandfather on my mother's side. He was painting landscape, sea landscape, and portraits. Oh. And so he passed away when I was 4, but I have vivid memories of me sitting with him, watching him paint, and all the smell, and my parents still have some painting of his, and so I kind of adore him for I have really nice memories.
That's really
nice.
He
really did impress me. I was a bit scared of him.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, it's because he was a painter that he impressed me a lot.
Okay, so when you went off to Strasbourg, is that right? Mm-hmm. For college, and you studied comparative literature?
Yes.
And then you started doing post-grad, that it looks like you were studying the poems of a particular poet, is that right?
Yeah, Christian d'Autremont, because he created a type of poetry that is between painting and poetry.
Wow.
So it's called logogram. So with a huge brush of black paint, he was doing on a kind of big poem. It was very large scale.
Okay.
So he was very investing his body doing the letters, and he was turning into a big abstract painting. So, and it was on kilometers sometimes.
Wow.
He did on snow in Siberia. Like he was very fascinated, and he created an art movement called Cobra, like Copenhagen, Bruxelles, Amsterdam.
Okay.
And they did a review, like a magazine.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Europe is pretty well known. So when I started to study him, I was starting to switch from literature to visual art.
Yeah. That's so funny that when he's painting these large things, would it be on walls? Is it like public art, or is it, on huge canvases or something? What was it like?
It was on paper.
Okay.
So it was gigantic sheets of paper.
Huge pieces of paper.
Yeah. And so the poem you could not read, or sometimes just one word here and there.
Oh, got it.
And so it was more like almost a logo machine, like like when you talk and be nonsense almost.
Yeah. So like the words that he was painting were so abstracted that you can't actually make out the poem.
No, not really. And what fascinated me, it was the scale of the work, and your body needs to be invested in the gesture of writing those words on giant scales.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of performance art as well.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was it started in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Yeah.
Was he kind of a response to World War II?
All Europe was a response to the World War II. Yeah.
Because I know you reference Dada a lot, which is like overtly a response to World War One, right?
Yeah. But Dada is really, I feel a lot of intimacy with this movement.
Yeah. And
I feel like Dada is everything, and is so contemporary.
Yeah.
And it took different names to different movements, fluxes, etc. But it's still Dada.
Yeah.
Borderline is still Dada.
I love Dada. Like, to describe Dada, basically, it's like a response to the horrors of World War One and sort of stepping outside of society and critiquing. Critiquing like traditional society, that kind of thing. Yes, and critiquing like even in the 1920s the rise of capitalism and the horror of war, like all what is society. That's why they turn into something completely absurd that didn't make sense. Yeah. And they use collage a lot, and I read this sentence that I really like, is Dada wanted to destroy with glue and scissors. Oh, yeah. So I really like this because, they explain a lot. And one of the big artists from that is Max Ernst, right? He was one of them. Max Ernst went to kind of late Dada. Okay. But Max Ernst is a complete artist. He did so many things, and he went to surrealism and then kind of, I don't know, he's a very multidisciplinary artist. So he was attached to Dada and surrealism, but he goes beyond this. Yeah. Do you think if we're like kind of talking about surrealism and Dada, would surrealism be more like just sort of serious and Dada is more like playful and ridiculous almost? I'm trying to think about the difference. Yes, Dada, I agree with you. It's very ridiculous and absurd. It goes against any logic, thinking and visual logic. Yeah. And surrealism was very soon in surrealism there were like rules. Okay. Yeah, rules, and try to talk the unconsciousness to the consciousness and all those dreamy. Oh, a lot about dreams, right? Yes, a lot of dreams, and psychology was exploding too after Freud and all this. Yeah. So it's more structure. Dada is very no rules. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you for explaining all that. That's very cool. Let's see. So it was while you were in your grad school that you started thinking more about visual art. So did you just like stop grad school basically?
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much I dumped everything. I said, I want to be an artist.
Okay.
I want to make things.
And then what did you start painting at that point?
I started to paint. Yeah.
Okay. So you're still in Strasbourg then?
I'm still in Strasbourg and I paint. I still painting now, but I paint until I move here, and really my practice of paper and collage started being in America.
Okay. Okay.
So really, to move changed my total creativity
Yeah.
practice. I moved to the US because I follow a man. It
Okay.
was just a love question. Like, it's just a love. Like, yeah, so I follow a man, and he moved to Savannah, so I moved directly from France to Savannah.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out, but I was very intrigued by the city.
Yeah.
Like, because, to me it's very European, there's a lot of
It is.
history.
Yeah.
I love that you can walk downtown. I love the ghost story. I love like a
Yeah.
lot of, it's very edgy, kind
Yes.
of and weird, and I'm like, I love this city. I'm staying here and see what's gonna happen.
So how old were you when you came here?
35.
How is that? So is my understanding that it's really hard to move from one country to the other if you're not like being sponsored by some company or something? How hard?
Well, I
Is
got
that-
married.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Did he come here for SCAD?
No.
Okay. So
No.
how Savannah? That seems so random.
No, he was a tattoo artist, so
Oh.
he came here he worked in one of the tattoo shops.
Wow. So you when you got to town, what year was that? Do you remember that you arrived in Savannah?
2009.
Okay. What was it? What were your memories of that era of Savannah? It's before it became as touristy as now. But
Yes, it was totally different.
Yeah.
And the art gallery, there is no much art gallery at all. Like there is SCAD, but for the local artists, there is
Yeah.
not much at all.
Huh.
The first show I had, it was in a little De Soto gallery on the De Soto Road.
Right.
There
it
was
was
a tiny, where Two Tides is now, the
Yes.
small bar. Remember, there was a tiny...
just a little room, like an empty room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a tiny gallery, there was like maybe 4 painting at a time. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this was my first exhibition there.
I remember that era. Yeah, Starland was like, it was always supposed to be this up and coming place that was going to be the next thing, but it was many years of it being described as that before it actually became big. And that De Soto Row was just, it seemed like every year maybe one of the spaces would open up and would be a gallery you could rent, and then it would change and a different
Yeah.
gallery would open up. But yeah, that little street was just like these sort of raw spaces.
Yeah. And there was Greyface too,
Yeah.
because Ryan moved to town just pretty much at the same time that I did. Because the first time I met Ryan, he was sleeping on the mattress in the store.
Oh, in the store? Yeah.
With few records and like.
And there was a frame shop on that street too. There was a
Mhm.
woman who ran her own frame shop and did everything in there. And I used to, when I was graduating SCAD, I went to her and she framed all my things for my show. But yeah, the rest of it was kind of this empty street. That's cool.
Mhm.
Where did you
Yeah.
live when you first lived in town?
I moved here in the house where
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so you're a little past Duran.
Yes.
Yeah.
South side.
South side.
I didn't know really where to move in Savannah. I didn't know the town.
Yeah.
And I picked this house because I saw a lot of studio potential.
Yeah. There's a lot of rooms.
Yeah, it's a tiny house. It's a lot of room. It looks a bit a maze.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but I like there's a big shed outside that is now my studio.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And I'll post photos of your madcap studio as well. So at the time, so when you first came here, you were painting. You were doing oil paintings, right?
Yes.
And I feel like until I was looking at your work to prepare for this interview, I had no idea that you did paintings as well. I know you so well for the collages, but you have a lot of examples of your paintings on your website, and they are these like beautiful, dark, macabre type
Very
paintings.
dark.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
them are like very rectangular, like severely rectangular, and you have a lot of white in them, which I like a lot.
Yeah, the white, for example.
Yeah.
The whites came when I moved to America, because my painting in France is still very dark color and black heavy, dark tones, and when I moved to America, my palette started to light up. Like, I started to do more and more whites and sepia, and
Yeah.
so I don't know if it's due to the weather, because I come from the cold to super tropical weather. Or I don't know, but there is a big shift in my painting too. The subjects are still very dark.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of like skeletons and skulls, so naturally there is a lot of white in them. But yeah, I guess even in the background in these, there's just a lot of like soft blended white and gray in them, and a lot of drippiness, and they feel very like
organic. I'm trying to give like an organic thing, even if it's skeleton, it's remove all the organs.
Yeah.
But when I paint, it's like, first, it's not necessarily a skeleton. It's like just brushing away the skin and layers, and then have this thin skeleton-like figure appearing in my painting.
Yeah.
And I like the skeleton not because it's a remain of death or anything. It's just, to me, it's not attached to anything that is man, woman, gender. It's just a human figure.
Yeah. It's like a neutral person.
Yeah, it's a neutral person, and it's very general. And pretty much this is all what we are. Like.
Yeah. Well, they're very, to look at them, it's very fascinating how like you can look at them and tell that it's a skull or a skeleton, but they're very like ghoulish and twisted, and it's not like a perfect representation of a skeleton. They kind of are like blown apart and abstracted.
Yes, they're not like a realistic proportion, and they're knots, and like
like they look, it looks like they were like a person who got damaged somehow, so it feels very it feels like it would be a response to thinking about wars, honestly.
Oh, nice. I never had this. Actually, it took me a long years to realize where my subject painting come from. Is being in France, and especially in small towns, churches were very, the center of the communities.
Yeah.
And the churches where I grew up with are very dark. I mean, there's a lot of sculpture, a lot of crucifixion with blood, like torture figure in pain.
Yeah.
And when we were visiting for vacation, we visited like churches, and in Europe you can find churches like all the decoration I made with skeleton from the monk and priest, like all the chandeliers, just bones and stuff. So I grew up with this. Like as a kid, I didn't know that it was macabre and people can be shocked by it. But it was really into my genes and my DNA. And so when I did painting, this come up automatically. And then I say, and it took me a long time to realize this. Jordan, when he came to visit France with me where I grew up, and said, I understand now where you're painting from. You were surrounded by torture.
Wow, that's so interesting. As you described that, I was like, I have seen photos of that. I have seen churches with the chandeliers are just bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and crucifixion, like the crucifix, it's always with pain and like
really specific. Whereas in the U.S. maybe it's more vague and it's not depicted like that.
There's many decoration. Like there's no many stained glass or sculpture.
Yeah.
It's Catholic churches here are even very bare in comparison with at least the area I grew up with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's my first inspiration coming from a small town of art was finding churches.
That's interesting. Do you have a favorite church in Savannah that you like to look at? No, there's so many of them. Let's see. So how did you gradually kind of go from just painting to getting into your paper collages?
At the beginning, I lived in America. It didn't work because I was waiting on my paperwork. And so having a lot of time on my hands, I was doing all the thrift store, Salvation Army, and that fascinated me because in France we don't have that many second-hand store.
Oh.
Yeah, and I started to find a lot of medical book. They were piling on the side of it, like, nobody wants them, do you want them?
Yeah.
Sure, I'm
just for
taking
free.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm taking, so things starting to pile up. And with books, I had like old photos of people from the area and like all ephemera, old letters. So I started to pile up everything. Still doing paintings, but then I don't know, like looking at those medical books, I found a new word because like all the anatomical drawings and it's a new world of colors and shape, and it's so beautiful, especially the vintage books. It's I don't know. I found it was very nice. I'm like, oh, I have to use this.
And usually, medical illustration, usually they on purpose make it much more colorful than your body really is, so that people can understand it and see the different parts and the different layers. So. Yeah.
Well, there's in the history of the internal representation of human, for the medical book, there's like for the 19th century there's like you say, a lot of colors and details. But now they go to more simple. They remove all the colors, or everything is gray, and the liver is in color, or like because it was very disturbing to have all those colors for the medical people actually.
Really.
So so medical books got the drawings got very simple and colors. Yeah.
So now it's like in a particular drawing, everything around it will be just sort of grayed out to not be distracting, and the one organ you're looking at is very specific.
Yeah. If you look the contemporary, medical book,
Do you think in contemporary medical books, is it still like hand done art, or do you think it's a lot of digital art at this point?
Now, I think it's falling out of fashion too, because now they have everything digital. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so interesting that you're able to like, you have all these books from all the eras, so you're like this expert on the history, the development of medical books almost. The different eras they've gone through.
I'm fascinated by. I find they're very beautiful. And, and I know sometimes people say, "Oh, they're macabre," and I don't find this macabre. It's just the way we are.
Yeah, I guess some people don't like to think about the way that they look under their skin or under their muscles and everything.
Just like clothes,
Yeah, so some people, I guess, like are fine thinking about that and enjoy it and aren't bothered, and some people are very bothered at the idea of what we actually look like.
To see what is inside under the cover.
Yeah, like they're very grossed out even trying to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
Or there's two types of people.
Yeah.
So you had all these books piled up, all these pieces of paper, and then I guess I know. So you've always been interested in surrealism and Dada, and collage has always just been like a big aspect of those art movements, right?
Yeah. What is very odd is when I started to do collage, I was not thinking of Dada and surrealism. I was like totally trying to experiment using medical book and the material I had in my studio to see if it's something that I like to do and visually is pleasing me or not. And I totally fell into it.
And then just accidentally, you already, And then at one point where you're like, oh, that's right, I've always loved surrealism, and collage is a huge part of that.
It's like doing the painting, I don't realize that it's totally what I live and breathe for years. And then, I'm kind of slow to make all picking and collection.
I think that's true of a lot of people. Don't you think? I mean, when you go to people's shows and they have their artist statement posted up, you usually are not like, you haven't thought of this statement first and then done the body of work. You've just like naturally gone through this whole body of work and done it. And then when you have some time and you step back and look at it, then you think, oh, this is how it's all tied together. And it's probably because I was influenced by X and YZ and all that. Yeah,
I always have issue with statement because I'm a maker first. And my thought process evaluates while I'm making the thing. So there's no pre-concept before to do. I do, and then I'm trying to make sense of what I'm doing. Doing things raise a lot of questions too. So it's trying to answer those questions, and it's kind of self-reflection too. So all those anatomy obsession is kind of mental, personal anatomy map. I started to do very figurative, but now I'm turning into more and more abstract.
You mean with your collages?
With my collages, and they're turning to be more and more abstract, using the same material source.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about in your early, because I would imagine like as time has gone on, you get much better just with like how precise you are and your workmanship and just how like nicely things are constructed. So at the beginning, is it like you just kind of clumsily with a pair of scissors and you're cutting and you're like with Elmer's glue or something? Like how were the early ones? Were they wild?
To see when the scalpel, scissor, the material, different type of glue depending on the paper. It was trying to experiment and I didn't do any art school, so like for painting, I probably did do a lot of things wrong in my techniques, but I'm making. So I'm making and learning. So one piece is the experiment for the next one. So I see this like a chain of experiments. And talking about medical, like I like the surgeon word come from a Greek that means actually the one that used the hands to make stuff.
Okay.
He's a maker. I like that too.
Surgeon. We actually, in the interview I just did with Matt Toole, he talked about other people who are makers and artists, and we talked about surgeons and dentists are also makers.
I have an obsession with teeth too. But there's a lot of teeth in my work too. But like, it's a fascinating opening of the body.
Teeth are like, we were talking about Freudism. Why can I not say that?
Freud.
In that weren't teeth are a big fascination in dreams, right? That people tend to like thinking about your teeth and something going wrong with your teeth and your teeth falling out is a frequent type of dream that people have. Does it usually indicate like anxiety, something like that? I think
I had those a lot. In teeth, you lose your baby teeth and you grow some other teeth. It's like you're losing your arm when the baby and we grow another. I don't know. It's just the teeth. They're like very special.
Interesting. Okay, well this is a quirky and interesting place. We will take our station break now. We're halfway through. So thank you. I love this philosophizing about teeth and it being a portal to the body. So again, this is Tamara Garvey with Art on the Air, and I'm with Axelle Kieffer, and we will be back after these station announcements.
You are listening to WRUU-LP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with a global soul.
Trees are one of Chatham County's most treasured natural resources. Beyond their beauty and cultural significance, the impact of trees are far-reaching and compounding, spanning from economic benefits to health improvements to climate change resilience. Trees are woven into every aspect of our lives. Savannah Tree Foundation protects and grows Chatham County's urban forest through tree planting, community engagement, and advocacy. More information is available at savannahtree.org. This portion of WRUU's programming is brought to you by listeners and by Brighter Day Natural Foods. Brighter Day Natural Foods has been serving Savannah's healthy food and supplement needs since 1978. It is located at the corner of Bull Street and Park Avenue. They have online ordering and curbside delivery available, and now a walk-up window for smoothies, juices, and sandwiches from the deli. They are open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. More information can be found at brighterdayfoods.com.
What does it mean when we say that WRUU is a community radio station? It doesn't just mean that we invite the community to create programming. And it doesn't just mean that we're a voice for the community. It also means that we're counting on the community to keep us going. And you are the community. Almost all of our modest budget comes from small annual or monthly donations from listeners like you. You get to enjoy our community-focused programming because many others have stepped forward to do their part. Now do your part by joining our community of listener donors. Go to WRUU.org right now and make a one-time or monthly donation. And thank you for supporting Savannah's community radio station, 107.5 FM.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Arts on the Air. This is Tamara Garvey, and I'm sitting down with artist Axelle Kieffer. Welcome back, Axelle.
Hi.
So when we went to the break, we were talking about how you had moved to Savannah in your 30s, and you had been doing just oil paintings, and now you're getting into paper collages as well. I know, so on your website you have a lot of info about like kind of for the past year, I know you started doing these war collages since the start of the Ukraine war. Is that right?
Oh, the war collage, yes.
Yeah.
I was so shocked that there's a new war on the European soil that, there are reminiscences of what my family went through, the Second World War, the deportation, and anyway, it triggered a lot of family memory that I carry with me, like all the stories. So I needed to have it exercise in some point. So I decided to do like once a month a tiny war collage using photography from the Second World War and using my anatomical composition. Because I find the old photos of war are still very contemporary.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that you, this response to the Ukraine war and that, this movement that you always really look at, Dada, that is explicitly a response to World War I. And so it just is really shocking to think that it's a whole 100 years later and
we're still there.
The same kind of thing.
Like,
right.
I did some of the war collage with numbers, and to me it was like the year passing, we're still in the same.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna change? Like, and then doing those war collages, it's kind of meditation to remind myself where we are as human, and not only with Ukrainian but Syria now.
Yeah, so many places around the world.
Yeah, unfortunately. So
you had a past show, I guess, a couple of years ago with your partner, your husband, Jordan?
Yeah, my partner.
Your partner. You guys did a really cool duo show together.
It was danse macabre, like the macabre dance.
Yes.
And it's typically in France, the danse macabre is a big visual tradition in Europe, and it's kind of memento mori. Like first it was done like, oh, remember, we human, we're gonna die, we have an end to our body. Like, yeah. So, but then it was used by artists and to talk about politics, to caricature. Like, you can use the same to bring different perspective on the contemporary world.
Yeah, a metaphor for a lot of things.
Yeah. 2019, and it was around Halloween, so it was like 3 months before the pandemic.
Okay.
So we were not knowing at all anything about COVID by then, but we felt it was an important subject by the time.
Yeah.
Like we felt that all the world, like politically, economically, like there is a shift with the word, and that was a way for us to express it. So we were talking about this, and with the heritage European tradition too, and so Jordan took a more caricature, almost funny of pop drawings. He used American culture for his dance macabre. Yeah.
So that era of work you did was more a response to like the 2016 election and then like fascism around the world.
Yes.
That kind of okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And then the pandemic hit, and then what kind of work did you do kind of coming out of that? Was there a series or a focus you did in that era?
Actually, I did a lot of collaboration.
Okay.
I started collaboration around 2015, but it kind of really exploded around that time because stuck home, everybody around the world stuck home, like it was a good way to communicate with other artists and to send letters and envelopes. It was, when you stuck home, it's nice to have mail. Like, it was the thing that was still working around the world.
So you started, people would find you on Instagram, or you would find people on Instagram, and you would start these collaborations.
Yeah, it started around 2014, I think, the first one. And
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, and it was an artist from Vienna that contacted me through Instagram or Facebook, I don't remember, but said, oh, I like what you're doing, do you want to do collaboration? And I had no idea of the network of collaborating artists.
Yeah.
So, and then another artist came to ask for collaboration, and so it kind of built up from there. And, and now I think I'm 48 artists collaborating, and so some became very close friends. Some I met in real life.
Wow.
And
So it had started slow with a few people reaching out to you, and then so you've been doing this for years, and eventually, and that's how you've ended up recently with this big show of all these pieces that are collaborations.
The show is just a collaboration for 2020 to 2023.
Okay, got it. So that's a lot of work for 3 years worth.
Yeah, and that's half of the work, because pretty much for each pieces in a show, there's a second pieces. Because pretty much the basic rule of collaboration is the artist send me some starters, and I send them some starters. We work on a piece and we exchange back the work. So for each pieces in the show, pretty much I've done another piece that I send out. Yeah.
I was wondering how many swap backs and forth you would do.
It depends. Most of the time it's one swap.
Okay.
But it happens every times, and sometimes there's more than 2 artists involved too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like a little round robin.
Because and we did like exquisite corpses too. Like we did different plays.
Would you cover up the early part then, and then they're
both.
working out a
Sometimes it's not covered, and sometimes it was covered.
Did you the show that you have now? It didn't seem like there was any one subject matter, any one concept. Was with each artist, was there any like overt assignment of what you were going to work on, or was it just kind of random?
80% of the time it's kind of random. It depends of the material source we have. Some that I collaborated for years, we like Carol White, that we did the Audubon print with delivery. Like we said, oh, let's work on this area. We have like those prints, they're like really nice. Let's try to see what we can do.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like she would say, I happen to have these books that are on XYZ. Let's do this.
And or I try to send starters to different artists with kind of the same starters, like a black background with an anatomical piece and kind of botanical, and I send like 10 of them to different artists, and they all came back differently.
And see what they do. Oh, that's really interesting.
So there's 2 series like this in a show. One I call the Life series, and the other one is it's a bit darker. It's the pieces that like hang a bit like a Tetris. I don't know how to explain. When you go in the gallery, it's on the right wall. So there's the 2 series that I send starters that are really close to different artists.
Yeah, that's like a good experiment where it's like a neutral thing that you send out, and then to compare all of them.
Because all the artists didn't know.
That was happening.
What was happening? Yeah.
Did you prefer being the starter or being the?
I prefer to finish.
So would they? You keep referencing like you'd send out a starter. Is that like the technical name for?
Yeah, this is how we talk between us. It's oh, can you send me some starters? So it can be just a background, or it can be just a corner piece, or it can be almost a finished piece.
Yeah.
And then there's no rule. You can cut the piece, destroy, burn it, use the ashes to do something else if you want. Yeah. So pretty much you have to let it go when you send your starters.
Yeah.
And CÉUR is a postal service, so there's all this random lost, destroy, take forever to arrive. So you have to let it go.
Wow.
So no ego.
So you said you prefer being the finisher, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a little bit because then you haven't had to see your thing go off and maybe get destroyed?
I know. I don't mind to have my things destroyed. It's just like I like to resolve puzzle. It's like to me, it's I have a challenge, and often it's artists that are not doing, they're outside my comfort zone completely, so I have to find a way to make it work or not work, or to it's a challenge. So I like to work on the challenge and to start it.
I would say collage, I like to think a lot, like the big element of it is composition, like just being very good at making a good balanced composition and like not putting too much in there so it's too busy. It must be it's a real balancing act, right?
When it's busy, it can be good too. Or when it's minimalist, it can be good.
Yeah.
When it's not logic, it can be good. I don't know. There's not really a rule. It's just,
But you as the finisher, like that's the challenge, is to like bring it to a good
balance,
ending, right?
Yeah. I see what you're saying about the composition. That's true. But sometimes, you try to match the work of the other artists, but sometimes you try to go to a totally opposite direction.
Yeah. So are you a person who does sometimes burn holes in them or tear them up or destroy them. Do you like to do that?
Yeah.
Have you ever had one that you were burning just like get away from you?
No.
Does it burn too much? It started burning and then the whole thing just burned and you said, I did not mean to do that.
No. I don't mind if somebody do that with my starters, but like when I receive from other artists, I think I don't dare to destroy completely that thing. I mean, but yeah, it would be a nice...
What is the so the substrate, like the paper that your art is glued onto? Is there a standard type of paper or thickness of paper that you like?
Not really.
Like something that is archival that you like to use?
Not really. It's for my personal work. I try to have archival and acid free, and so it can resist the passage of time.
Yeah.
But still, I like to work with vintage paper and like damaged paper, like all with the fox paper, like the paper that is stained. So yeah, I like when it's damaged, when the paper lived a past life too. So
I would think
interesting.
The whole aspect of like archivalness in a piece of art must be, it's different in collage than it is in something like painting where you control it from start to finish and you can like make it very archival where it's lasting forever. But maybe that whole idea in collage is just a different way of thinking about the passage of time on the art.
The collage, you use material that's already printed, already made, and you kind of...
It might be very acidic.
Destroy them to make something, to bring something from the past to nowadays and give it another statement. Yeah. So that's what is nice with collage, because there's no rule, and you can go far with paper.
Do you like to use a scalpel at this point to cut things out?
Right now I love to tear the paper, like to tear, because I love the noise it makes, and like to tear the paper and leave the paper actually trace of your gesture. Yeah, and that edge. And the edge. Yeah. That is very beautiful, especially when you have color. The edge can turn into another color. Well, it depends what's on the other side of the paper. Yeah. And with the scalpel, it's nice for tiny details, but scalpel for me is like a pencil. It's like when you cut nicely a line and you're proud of it, it's like doing like a nice trace with a pencil. There's like this kind of perfection of the gesture when the tear to tear paper is, it's a bit more random. Yeah, more organic. Yeah, more just nature and not the perfection, and more like a human did it, and so anything could have happened. Yeah, I like what you're talking about the edge that it leaves. I like a lot of times I work on paper, and with watercolor paper there can be that, what they call it, a deckled edge, where it is that like you've turned the paper and it has that beautiful. Oh yeah. So Jordan is doing printmaking, so when he it's so beautiful, the trace of the paper. And depending on the paper you use, it can be thick or not thick. It can have fibers. It can be transparent looking. Yeah, it can be fiber coming out too. It feels very European to me, that kind of paper. It just has a very like French classic feel to me, to have this really heavyweight watercolor paper with the torn edge. Yeah. Have you ever injured yourself with your scalpel at all? Yes, paper cuts. Yes, the name of your show. No, paper cuts. It was because of the piece of paper, but yeah, could have cuts from paper. Yeah, at the beginning a lot. Yeah. Now not that much. Very good. And you spend hours cutting, to have like pain in the hands. Like, yeah. You have a little injury. Yeah, and sometimes it happened that my hands turn black and blue, and I don't know why. Well, interesting. So your show that you have at CÉUR right now is called Paper Cuts, an International Collage Exchange, and I think what I've read about it, it's you collaborating with 30 artists from all over the world. Is that right? Yeah, for this show is all my collaboration for the past 3 years, and it's with 37 artists. Okay. Yeah. And that's the one. It'll run through Saturday, October 21, so people have time to go see it. And then there's a
there's an exhibition book that was created for it, right? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh yes, I was very proud. I'm a book addict. Like I love books. So I was like, if I could have a catalog and for the show, that would be nice. And so it was kind of a dream, and John and Emily said, oh yeah, of course we're gonna do a catalog for the show.
I love that.
So Emily spent hours to scan, color corrected, layout. Yeah, it was a...
Oh, she scanned all your collages?
Yes, and there were like 200 pieces because she scanned all the... So for the show, I have to edit down because the gallery was too small.
Yeah.
So she scanned absolutely all the pieces, even though some that are not in the show.
Right.
And the book is pretty much half of the show.
Okay. And I mean, the show itself is big. There's a lot of pieces in the show.
Yeah, there's, I think 180, 190. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, you said 37 artists and then 190 pieces?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with each person, you had multiples going on?
Yes.
Each artist, yeah. And then the book, is it, people can buy that at Sulfur Studio?
Yes, on their website.
Okay.
And I made a collector version of it. So it just come out of my love for art book and collectors.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do original collage for the 10 first book.
Oh, great.
So you can have the collector version. You will have the book and original collage of.
I love that.
Sign and stamp.
There are still some of those available?
Yes, there are a few. Yeah.
I love that. And then some other things that you've had going on. You've had a really big year, so you also had a book. You were part of an art book that was published in France, right?
Yes, it just released this week. It's called, in French, Ma langue sur ton cœur. So my tongue on your heart. And it's a book about love.
Okay.
But can be all sad love, twisted love. It can be all type of love. So this French publisher is published only art book, and they wanted to do like a group book, but around the theme of love.
Yeah.
And they contacted 70 artists asking for an original piece and an original text.
Okay.
So I did the original collage for the book, and the text is my best friend from France. That she's a writer, so she wrote a poet on my collage. Yeah.
Was that interesting? I mean, you spent a lot of time, like we talked about, painting skeletons, and then you did a whole series that was a response to the Ukraine war, and now you have to do a piece specifically about love. Was that funny to do this shift?
Yeah. Well, it was my version of love is very organic. It's very...
Is it a skeleton again?
No, it's just skin, a lot of skin.
Yeah? And then did your friend write the words after you did the piece, or did you do the piece to your friend?
Yeah,
okay.
because she wrote the text on seeing the piece.
Yeah.
It was kind of suddenly she said, it was like spit it out.
Yeah,
it came
she
to
just
her.
knew what to do.
Yeah.
So the book has just come out, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have one of those yet?
No, they say Monday they will ship it.
Cool. That's amazing. For your library.
Yes.
Yeah. So you had that, and then you also are part of a group show in France with your partner Jordan. Is that right?
We did a show in July.
Okay.
In Strasbourg. So it was the first time I had a show since I moved from
Wow.
there. Yeah. So it was kind of emotional.
Yeah. What was that like going back to that city after so long?
We go back every year, but like with a show,
Okay.
yeah, it was a long time. It was intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny because I left France being a painter, and I come back with collage.
Yeah. Do you still have friends who've been in Strasbourg all this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all my friends that I met from my high school, we're a big group of friends that we see every year. We talk every week on the phone.
That's amazing.
It's like very
a tight group.
Yeah, a tight group. Yeah.
That's nice because when you have shows here in Savannah and you know so many people and people will come to your shows, but it's nice that even when you had a show in Strasbourg, you still had all these people who could come and see your show.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. That was insane.
Was there anything different about the whole process of like being in this show that was in France? Was there any kind of different practices than what you find in the US?
What do you mean?
Like, just, I guess the whole process of, like, being involved in the show and getting the work to them and, like, the way that they organize a gallery show or the opening. Is there anything that's, like, different, maybe you think, in France than in here?
Yeah, the access to art gallery in France is more complicated. There are a lot of alternative venue you can show work. It's been 14 years. I'm not physically there. Like, I have a show in France, but it's project that I'm being pulled into. Yeah. Like last year, I had a big show in the south of France. The publisher of this book, Joie Panique, Celia, she's working with Stéphane Blanquet, a famous artist in France, and he invites artists from around the world to exhibit with him. And so last year I had the chance to exhibit with him. Yeah, that was insane. Yeah. So I'm being pulled into projects and shows, and I never say no to. I'm like, come to me, and we make it work.
Do you find, are a lot of people, are they finding you on Instagram, or is it like they see your art in one show and then you get pulled into another show?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for people who are looking to expand their reach on Instagram? Because obviously you're doing something really right if all these people are finding you.
I don't know, because I'm a very bad poster. Like, I post not regularly on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to do reels, and when I post story, I'm like, it takes me 15 minutes to do. So like, I'm not very technology person.
I mean, it sounds like for years people are finding you and asking you to do collaborations with them. So is it something about your hashtags maybe?
I don't know.
I mean, it's fascinating.
It's funny because since COVID, I don't even have to look for a show. Like, all the show I'm doing, just people pulling me into projects.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk? So you were mentioning there's a show that you are about to be in that's going to travel around the country.
Yeah,
for a few years?
A traveling show. It sounds a bit like a circus.
It does,
like
it sounds like it'll be in a boxcar that drives around. Yeah.
So it's a creator from Cincinnati, and she put like a 12 collage artist show together, and the name of the show is Collective Concern. So it's the concern of what's actually happening in America. Yeah. With different insight and perspective to it. And so it's going to be traveling for the next 4 years through America. They're going to different venues, and so the venues say, I'm interested. Can you ship the boxes?
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot.
So we have to prepare all the contract. There's a catalog, a book published for the traveling show too. Yeah. So everything is, I think we finished with the book layout and the annex, the notes.
The index.
The notes we wanted to show. And I have the boxes in my studio, so I have 10 pieces that's gonna go on the traveling show.
Does it start in Cincinnati?
No.
Okay.
I don't know yet when it started.
So has she planned out, like, is every place that it's going to already mapped out for yours? No. Or it'll just happen?
It's just the beginning that is kind of mapped out.
Okay.
Someone's understanding of it. And then
new places will just come up.
Yeah. I mean, she's doing this, like, traveling shows, and looking from a resume, she sometimes traveling to Qatar with the shows, like to Middle East. So we'll see.
Fascinating.
We'll see. The contract is for next year, so we'll see where the pieces will go.
I love that. Let's see. So we went to, I wanted to make a note to everybody. I'm going to post in our social media when I post about you some photos of your studio space, because it is incredible. I love your floor covered with little shards of paper, and then I took a photo of your organizational, the way that you organize your tiny pieces of paper as well.
Like what I was saying, my studio is such a mess, but I love my mess.
Yeah.
But twice a year, pretty much I clean everything, and all the paper, the pieces of paper and the cuts everywhere. I don't throw anything, and I try to organize them in tiny boxes through seams.
Yeah.
And we reuse those paper.
Let's see. And I know you have a painting on your easel that you're in the middle of.
Yeah, it's been a long time I'm working on this one. I don't really have time.
Do you think you're ever... So I know that you have a lot of paintings just built up from all your years of doing them. Do you think you're ever going to have a show where you show a lot of these publicly in Savannah? I would love to see them.
I don't know. If someone is interested in dark macabre painting, yeah, call me. Let me know.
I could see them just being in a like an empty abandoned space, like
I would like
an empty building for the month of October or something.
Yeah, you totally see my mind, because I would like to find an alternative space. Like because we have so many real estate that can. Yeah. So I would like to to take over one of the space.
What if you ask the guy who runs Graveface if he has some crazy space that he's holding on to? I feel like he...
Oh, yeah, probably has.
Like, I can imagine them somewhere on Factor's Walk in some empty space.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, that's the historic heavy, too.
And then, you know, it's funny, just to get back to, you talked about this a while ago, about the tearing of the paper and you like the noise, but I can imagine just like a soundscape playing in the background of one of your shows.
I have the soundscape already.
Yeah.
I have a musician and a band from France, like an industrial band that did organic industrial music for the background of my painting. So I already have the soundscape.
Amazing. Yeah, I can picture it just being like this just all the senses, just this all-encompassing experience.
Yeah, but you're very close of what I have in mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna go to realization here in Savannah.
Well, so it's October now. Let's aim for next October. That gives you that's a good long time. That would be amazing, right?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a very short time. Just 1 year to prepare a show. It's very short.
Where are you going next in your work? We talked a little bit about scale, either to work really small or really big.
Yeah, so my wall collage is small.
Okay.
So
and what do you mean size-wise?
It's 5 by 7 inches, pretty much, and so I want to stay small and intimate for those. But for my personal research now, I'm trying to do collage on a bigger scale.
Okay.
And I mix techniques too. So I'm trying to do transfer of images.
That's cool.
Kind of do photographic. I don't know. I'm experimenting things.
Isn't there something I'm like just now remembering kind of dregs of my art history that there's like mechanical collage and then like chemical collage, is that right? Where there's the one that you've been doing, which is the pieces of paper, and then like you said, photo transferring and using chemicals to do collage.
Yes. Well, yes.
Is that what it's called?
We call that transfer of images.
Okay.
Yeah, because we use a chemical, and instead to collage, you transfer the image, and then you can collage different. You can use. I'm trying to experiment. I have few work done like this that I haven't shown on social media yet.
Right.
But it's hard for me to tell. Still, I'm in process and experimentation.
Yeah.
Let's say do small and I try to go big.
I like that. And you, so on your website, you have some things for sale, right? You have some original collages, and then you have some prints of your collages as well? Okay.
Yeah, I have a few prints, and they're limited and signed, but it's not something I do on a regular basis.
Yeah, just a few select pieces you have prints of. Cool. Well, anything you kind of, last words or last thoughts or anything you want to leave us with?
Oh yeah, since I'm here, they totally changed. It's days and night. No, now it's pretty exciting what's going on. There's a lot of nice work and nice stimulations.
Yeah, and Starlin finally became the thing everyone was talking about, right?
Yes, even like my coworkers. They're not artists or like from my daytime job. Yeah, they're even starting to talk about surfer, the salon. Yeah, I'm very surprised to hear conversations. Some came to see the Dance Macabre show.
Oh yeah, cool. Well, thank you, Axelle. This has been so fascinating and wonderful to talk to you. I'm so excited for this upcoming show you have, the one that's traveling for up to 4 years, and then your show at Sulphur is beautiful. And again, everyone, it is up through Saturday, October 21st, and then you can always buy the catalog that's come out from the show as well.
Thank you, Tamara. It was my pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Axelle. Next up on WRUU, That Old Savannah Magic from 4 to 6 p.m. It's a variety show featuring Savannah history, radio theater, interviews, and music.
You are listening to WRUU-LP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with a global soul.